The failure of the Equal Opportunity Commission agency in Florida, a barrier to justice. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, was established to enforce federal laws prohibiting employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information. In principle, this agency is a cornerstone of civil rights enforcement. However, in practice, particularly in Florida, the EEOC has repeatedly failed to uphold its mandate. A troubling number of clear-cut discrimination cases have been dismissed or inadequately addressed, leaving victims without justice and honestly, just perpetuating a cycle of inequality in the workplace. A system designed to protect, but failing in execution. The EEOC is meant to provide a lifeline to individuals who face discrimination in employment, yet Florida's implementation has really fallen short. Data and first-hand reports suggest a pattern of systemic indifference, slow investigations, and inconsistent determinations that, more often than not, favor employers. In Florida, many complainants report that their cases are dismissed with generic reasoning such as lack of evidence, even though they've provided documentation, witness testimonies, and patterns of discriminatory behavior. This suggests a troubling disconnect between legal protections and their practical enforcement. One of the primary issues is bureaucratic inertia. The EEOC offices in Florida, especially those in Miami and Tampa, are plagued with backlogs, limited staff, and high caseloads. This has led to delayed responses, often stretching investigations over 18 to 24 months. In such protracted timelines, witnesses move on, evidence degrades, and the psychological toll on the complainants really increases. Victims of discrimination are essentially silenced not by law, but by administrative delay. Perhaps most concerning is the EEOC's tendency to dismiss cases even when evidence appears compelling. Numerous Floridians have recounted experiences where they submitted email correspondence, voice recordings, and performance reviews that clearly contradicted their employer's claims, only to have their cases closed with a form letter. This undermines trust in the system and signals to employers that they can act with impunity. In many cases, victims are left with no recourse, especially if they lack the resources to pursue private legal action. The burden of the EEOC's failure falls heaviest on Florida's marginalized communities. Black, Latino, immigrant, and LGBTQ+ workers disproportionately report being ignored or dismissed by the agency. In a state with such a rich cultural and ethnic tapestry, this failure is particularly egregious. By not vigorously pursuing claims from underrepresented groups, the EEOC is not only failing individuals, but is also enabling the structural discrimination that continues to marginalize these communities. The EEOC's processes, they are shrouded in opacity. Once a case is dismissed, complainants have little clarity on how the decision was reached. Internal reviews are rare, and the appeals process is often a dead end. Unlike the court system, which provides public records and written opinions, the EEOC offers limited insight into its decision-making. This lack of transparency fosters mistrust and prevents meaningful oversight or reform. The failure of the EEOC in Florida is not just a bureaucratic failing, it is a moral and social one. In a state where economic and social disparities already create barriers to success for many, the inability of a federal agency to protect workers exacerbates inequality. Reform is desperately needed. This includes increasing funding to reduce backlogs, improving transparency in decision-making, retraining staff on recognizing modern forms of discrimination, and creating an independent oversight body to audit dismissed cases. The EEOC's shortcomings in Florida reflect a broader erosion of civil rights protections at the institutional level. While the agency was designed to be a champion of fairness, its failure to act on clear evidence of discrimination represents a betrayal of public trust. For justice to be real, enforcement must be robust, transparent, and equitable. Until the EEOC addresses its internal failures and recommits to its mission, Florida's workers, especially the most vulnerable, will remain unprotected.